to the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Mats Podcast. And this week's guest I'm having on today, I'm going to be welcoming Mr. Carlos Cruz to the podcast. Carlos, welcome to the show, and thank you for doing this. How you doing today?
What's up, everyone? Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. Started off the morning with a no-gi training session.
Nice.
So, feeling good.
Good. Glad to hear that. So, having Carlos on, I was aware of this, but for some reason it never clicked. And then you messaged me the other day, your victory at Arte Suave back in February. And on the belt, like you messaged me, you said, I won the BJJ.Wiki Belt.
I have it right here.
And I was aware of the belt. I knew about it, but I don't know why my brain. Oh, I love, dude, that looks so good. God damn, that's beautiful.
That's awesome.
So Carlos shot me a message and was like, "Hey man, I won the belt." And I'm looking, I was like, "Oh shit, nice." I started scrolling through. I was like, "Let me get this guy on the show. Let's talk a little bit about this." So, obviously, as we know, you compete. You're a grappler, blue belt.
Yeah, I'm a blue belt.
Nice. All right, we share that in common. With you competing, I guess a feeling that you might be a step above or 5 steps above me, but good for you. So how long have you been training?
I've been training jiu-jitsu for 4 years now, actually.
Okay, all right, cool. And
March 2019.
March 2019. Okay. Oh, nice. So like the anniversary, like just passed up.
Mm-hmm.
You do any other martial arts?
No. As a kid, I did do a few karate classes, but I'm a kid, so it depends on if my parents would take me or not. So eventually, I would just kind of stop going. My parents were busy, so I never really stuck with any martial art, karate at least. But I watched a lot of WWE as a kid. John Cena, Undertaker, the Hardy Bros, all that. So I always liked to wrestle, or roughhouse, but never watched UFC or anything like that. So jiu-jitsu is my first legit martial art. Didn't even know what jiu-jitsu was until I walked into the gym.
Jeez. What was that experience like? What even led you into just walking into a gym? Because that's a tough thing sometimes for people when you don't have the background. You just one day walk into the gym and is like, I'm going to do this. So what was that experience like for you? What even led you to walk in?
I always liked being active. So before jiu-jitsu, I would play basketball a ton, just a bunch of street ball pickup games. But I really like superheroes. Batman, The Flash, Superman, all the movies. So when I watch those, I'm like, dang, can the human body really do that? And I was lifting, and I got to 220 pounds. Right now, I'm 170. I wasn't doing any cardio, and then I thought to myself, I can't do anything. I can lift weights, but other than that, I feel like I can't really do much. So I finished up an internship I was doing, saved up some money, walked into the gym, bought all the stuff I needed, and just got started from there.
That's one of those things where when you're active, and I know for myself, I was kind of in a similar boat. I was lifting weights, playing basketball, again, pickup games, football, like in the flag leagues and stuff like that. And just one day I was like, I want to try something different. And, found jiu-jitsu myself that same way. One thing that you said that kind of reminds me of something at the gym. I used to go to this gym, Lifetime Fitness out here, across the street from work. And there's this guy whose biceps were probably the size of my head. And I got a big ass head. And this dude, his arms were massive. I remember my coworker was like, actually my co-host for my other podcast, Columpton. He and I would always go to the gym. You know, we're lifting. We're like, yeah, you know, let's get stronger. We saw this dude. I remember we looked at each other like, yo, what the fuck can that dude do? Like, look at his arms. He
Yeah.
can't fucking play basketball. He can't play fucking baseball. He can't even fucking hold a baseball bat. What is the point of all that? And then I think that's right around when my mind shifted. I was like, well, I'm kind of on the same path. Let me go fucking do something else, man, before I end up like, you know, fucking balloon animal over here and I can't fucking walk
Yeah.
through the door. So walking in, what was that experience like for you though? Like when you went in and did your trial, you know, and everything, how did you feel?
Yeah, it was kind of intimidating, you know, seeing everyone in the gis. Yeah, it's like a whole new environment that I'm not used to. But once we started rolling, you know, I don't know anything, right? But you know, I got wrecked, and then I go home and YouTube jujitsu, and then I'm looking at these videos and I'm like, oh, you can grab anything. Oh, you can. There's no rules basically. Obviously, you know, no striking, all that. But when I saw that, I was like so excited to go back, and I knew it was like something that I didn't know anything about, but I knew that if you know I wanted to do it. I had a blast. It was so much fun. I couldn't wait to get back. I was excited. So even though it was kind of intimidating, you know, not really like knowing anything, everyone around you kind of already like knows each other, talking about techniques, things like that. You kind of feel out of place, but you know, I kept showing up, and now here I am.
And that's the key. You just keep showing up because the second that you stop, it gets harder and harder to come back. So I'm glad you know stuck with it, and you know here you are. And you know you get most cats they come in, you know they figure it out, and then they either become that guy that you know they're just there, or you know you go to the other end of the spectrum where they become that guy that competes. Now, when you started doing jiu-jitsu, how soon into your journey did you start competing?
6 months into jiu-jitsu,
Okay.
yeah, I signed up for a competition. I didn't really know about the whole world of competition jiu-jitsu or anything when I first signed up. I signed up, and you know, I was just learning as I go. And then you know on Instagram you start following all the pages, start seeing all the videos, and then you're like, oh, this is something I want to do eventually. And then I saw a tournament was coming up, so I signed up, and you know I thought it was going to be, you know, it was only like 6 months into my jujitsu journey. So I signed up maybe like 4 months into it, and I thought it was just going to be me by myself there. But when I went, you know, the whole squad showed up. The whole like most a lot of people from the gym. There was other people competing. There was people
Nice.
cheering for me. We were cheering for each other. It was a great experience, and I didn't really expect that. You know, I thought I was going to show up, just do my thing, see what happens. I ended up losing. I only had one match, but yeah, I enjoyed it. It was my only match that had a white belt, and then a blue belt. I started competing some more.
Okay. How long in did it take you to get to your blue belt?
A year and a half.
Okay. So you know the you know relatively typical journey thus far. You know, get in, compete at about 6 months. You know, about a year and a half in, get your blue belt. So you know
Hmm.
that's solid, pretty cool. And for you finding Arte Suave, how'd that come about with that competition?
So I remember this clearly. I was laying in bed Saturday night, just on my phone scrolling, and then boom, uh, one of the guys, David Mitchell, from our gym, hits the group message saying, "We need. Does anyone want to compete? 180 pounds Arte Suave for a super fight?" And then just impulsively, I say me. Right, I'm just laying in bed and I say me. And then he was like, and then that was it. Then he set it up. they messaged me on Instagram. I sent them a photo. Then we created the poster, and then within like a day or two, the match was set. And then I was like, I don't know. I didn't expect that because I was just laying in bed, and then he hit the group chat, and I just said, "Me, I'm doing it." So, and then the match, it was a short term. It was like short notice, so the match was actually the following week.
Oh,
Yeah, and I put some pressure on myself, but I hadn't done a super fight before. But I think I have competed before that. Yeah, I have, and I was excited. I wanted to do it. It was outside my comfort zone, and that's kind of where I wanted to be. And then a week later, I go and get a submission.
nice, nice. Yeah, as I was doing my Instagram stalking, I'm looking, it's like, okay, he's undefeated at Arte Suave. It's not just like, a one and done type deal. So, I mean, sounds like that's your turf now. So actually, I'm gonna have Fredo on upcoming from Arte Suave, and I might have to let him know, like, hey man, it sounds like Carlos is running things over there. He's in that competition undefeated. Start paying that dude.
Yeah, well, um, I think the next match will be a really good test. It won't be until July. I know who my opponent is going to be. It's not official yet, but I think it's going to be him. He's also 4-0. I'm 4-0. We've been in the same bracket at a tournament before, but we didn't compete against each other. Um, I made it to the finals. He didn't. I lost in the finals, but I think it'll be a good match. He looks like he's aggressive. He's hungry, just like me. So I can't wait for that. It's gonna be in July,
Nice.
and a title defense. So, if I'm correct, no one has defended the belt successfully on Arte Suave. Everyone has won the belt and then lost it. So my goal is to and still be champion after that.
All right. Well, I'll be sure to tune in for that and pump it up as much as I can as it's leading in, and just looking through your Instagram, just seeing like the highlight reels and everything. I believe it. I believe that's going to be like you said, it's going to be a test, but I think you got it
Yeah,
in the bag. So, and you got to defend your territory. You got to defend your belt, the BJJ.Wiki Belt.
yeah,
Um,
definitely. I feel like when it comes to a super fight, I have so much momentum right now since I'm undefeated. And in a tournament, I usually lose like in the finals or like in the third round. I can build a streak. Um, but so if it's just one match, I'm completely confident I can win. So I don't see myself losing. IBJF Santa Cruz is next weekend,
yeah.
so I'm doing that lightweight division. I think it's going to be 5 matches to gold, and
Mm,
I believe I can do it. So that's going to be it's gonna. I'm doing gi though, not no gi. So it'll just be a good practice for Worlds and for the Arte Suave championship defending the belt.
So, do you have a preference between the two, gi versus no gi?
I like gi better.
Okay.
Yeah, I train. I mostly train gi, but I'll go to like no gi open mats. Just because I enjoy jujitsu. But I like the gi. I feel like I have superpowers when I have the gi on.
We share that in common as well. Um, there's always, that debate, gi versus no gi, which is better. And I don't know. I mean, it's just grappling. It's all grappling at the end of the day. So I don't think one trumps the other. But we do have our preferences. It just becomes obnoxious when one group says to the other group that ours is better. Even though I will share memes to shit on both groups and just make people think, oh, he loves no gi. It's like, I don't care. I just love jiu-jitsu. But
Yeah, and
hey,
it's really like I think it's the same.
it,
Like if you're gonna get a grip, a no gi, you'll just get the same grip, but just without the gi.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, it's the same thing. There's
Yeah.
obviously like differences in maybe like in your playing style. Like in gi, I'm going to use a lot more collar drags. I'm doing a lot of drags, pulling. No gi, it's a little harder for me to wrestle. Um, but it's all learning.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a process, and as you move up in your journey, that becomes more apparent. Is I was talking with a teammate about that once, and our coach, his comment was ultimately it's all grappling. No gi, it doesn't matter. You may have your preference, but it's all the same. I mean, I know one thing I like to do when I'm in the gi, and I primarily train gi right now. I think with my new schedule upcoming, I think I'm going to be at mostly no gi now. So, oh well, that's my
Yeah,
life.
yeah. Eventually, you do that's how it happens. Do no gi for a bit until the cards have you do gi for a bit as well.
Yeah, I always try to in the gi, get grips without using, the sleeves or the lapels and things like that. Just because, again, if you want to do something in no gi, you're not going to have those advantages, to your disposal. So that's one thing I do try to focus on in the gi. And that's not saying I don't use the grips. I will, but if I'm consciously thinking about it, I'll make sure I get wrist control versus, getting a sleeve control, or get a collar tie versus going for, lapel grips, things like that. But at the end of the day, as long as you're advancing your grappling game, that's what's important. So that's to everybody
I had a
who wants to pick one over the other. Dicks.
Yeah, I had a friend. He doesn't train. He told me that the gi seems unrealistic, and then I was all like, and he's all like, yeah, no one's going to be wearing like that karate outfit. I mean, maybe he was just messing around, maybe, but I was just it's like, it's pretty realistic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it too. Okay, so in no gi versus gi in the ideal of realism, no gi you can't necessarily use someone's shirt to choke them in no gi. Whereas, okay, let's say there's a scuffle out on the beach. Yeah, okay, you're probably not wearing shirts or something. So yeah, that's where your no gi comes into play. But if you're in a bar or something, you can choke someone with their t-shirts. You can get grips on them. Whereas no one's walking around butt naked for a fight. That would be extremely weird, in
Yeah,
itself. So when people say gi is unrealistic, it's like no gi feels even more unrealistic, but ultimately
yeah.
just you know be cool about it, and know what you're doing, and either situation is going to be realistic.
I think that comment just comes from MMA, like from a perspective, an MMA perspective.
Hmm.
Since they're not wearing a gi, and that you see a fight and like, oh, they're shirtless, they're not wearing a gi or anything like that, but it all works.
Yeah, I mean,
i,
one of my oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I have a question for you though.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
um how did you get BJJ.Wiki on the Arte Suave championship belt?
So as far as how I ended up on the belt, I'm going to be honest, I don't even know how that became a thing. um Fredo and I, when he started Arte Suave, I think this was before the first one even kicked off. I asked him to be on the podcast. He came on. We promoted the show, talked about it, and he's been on pretty regularly for the most part. So um, I've always felt like there's been kind of a relationship there between Arte Suave and BJJ.Wiki. Throughout its earlier shows up to current. So as to how I was fortunate enough for him to throw the logo on the belt, I honestly don't know. I remember he messaged me, and I feel like because I'm here in Maryland, so the time is 3 hours difference. Is I feel like he shot me a message, late for me. It was like a wild hour, and I recall seeing him saying that he was going to put the BJJ.Wiki logo on the belt, and I thought I was just kind of hallucinating. I was like, okay, cool, like awesome, dude, like whatever. I don't. That's not a thing. That's not real. And I moved on with my life. And then he sent me a picture, and it still didn't really click in my head. I was just like, okay, word. Moved on. And then when you messaged me, then it was like, oh shit, that's okay. And then I text one of my teammates, like, so this is a thing. He was like, holy shit, what? I was like, yeah, I think I knew, but I just kept like not believing. But I don't know. I guess just fortunate to, be, friends with Fredo. And I like to think that we've had kind of a good, friendship throughout the time since having him on the show. Um, just lucky, I guess.
Yeah, awesome. Now you're on the championship belt, engraved in history.
Hey, I mean, there's worse things that BJJ.Wiki could be linked to. So I'm very, very thankful, just for the mention. And I think yeah, he sent me a rash guard with my logo on the rash guard along with a bunch of other sponsors, and I was like, dude, that's really, really, really cool. Thank you. So Fredo has always been that dude that he gives back. He's a stand-up guy. And so whenever I think about Arte Suave, and I tell my friends about Arte Suave, the first thing I always like to mention is like there's a group of good people, so I'm happy to be associated with it.
Yeah, it's a really great event. Um, it really puts a spotlight on athletes who are hungry, want to compete, and it's a great show.
Yeah, absolutely. My teammate and I, we were looking at the upcoming schedule. So I told him, like, look, with me, I'm going to be switching jobs soon, so that opens my schedule up for the weekends again. So I was like, oh snap, I can actually travel now. So I was like, you want to go out there and catch one of the events? I was like, yeah. So we are going to show up to one. I don't know which one yet. It's going to be sometime later,
Show
like
up to the
towards the fall.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say show up to
I
the
can't
July one.
can't do the July. I think he's going to be competing. So I think he said he can't do that trip. And myself for July got birthdays and stuff going on. So it's like, okay, we're gonna like cool out. Cause at first when I brought up the idea, I was like, yo, you wanna, make a trip? And he was like, all right, yeah, sure. Then he started going down the list, like, well, I'm doing this, and this. And I was like, okay, well, let's look at August or September. And he was like, um, you want to maybe try November? So like, I think that's Phoenix. So I was like, um, I mean, I guess I got more people in California than I do in Arizona, but so we're trying to negotiate when we can make what trip. But he's leaning towards November. I'm leaning towards anywhere from August, September, October. I think September is still to be determined. So that's one where it's like, well, I mean, let me know where it's going to be, and see if I can convince my teammate to make that trip, or just grab another teammate. Be like, yo, what you doing? Trying to
Yeah,
travel? like,
yeah, it'll be
like,
fun.
yeah, I think that's the thing with this whole thing for me with jiu-jitsu, especially, is just having fun with it. You know, there are times where people take, you want to take it serious, but also you want to be able to make an adventure of it, have fun with it, meet new people, see new places type deal, versus just like, I'm here to win. No smiles.
I agree. Yeah, I'm having so much fun with jujitsu. All the I'm having recently, I've been having so much fun just creating and editing my highlights and posting them on Instagram. Before,
Yeah.
I wouldn't use Instagram at all. I would post a picture every other 2 years or something, and then I was all like, I started having fun with jujitsu, and I'm like, I'm gonna start making my videos start because I have this footage. I'm just start posting it, see what happens, and then I kind of developed my own storyline, and people are following along. I'm meeting friends uh, from traveling places at competitions, building new rivals. It's all fun,
Good.
and it is like I am serious, about my training. I do when I sign up for competition, I do want to win. Um, so that kind of maybe it doesn't stop me from having fun, but it creates like a new something, a new experience. I don't know what to call it, where you're trying to you take it seriously but also have fun, and it just becomes super intense. I don't know.
Well, there's a balance with that too, though, because again, you want to take your training serious, you want to take the competition serious, you want to take your opponent serious and be
Yeah,
respectful, but you also want to take in that experience and enjoy what it's about. Testing yourself, pushing yourself to the limits, testing someone else and pushing them to the limits, and then out of all of that, forming, you know, a bond. Because that's one thing I try to explain to my friends who don't train is with jiu-jitsu, you're going through something that other people don't tend to get. Whenever I meet new people, like my best friend, whenever she's dating a new guy, she introduces me to them, and I'm nice when I shake hands, and my first thought is, I wonder if he grapples, and if he does, there's a patch
yeah,
of grass over here. So, and with that though, what comes with it is you learn a lot about people, and you're sharing a moment with each other where there's a trust. Because whether it be in the gym or in a competition or anywhere, you're putting a lot of trust in that person you're going up against, because yes, they are trying to choke you unconscious. They are trying to hyperextend your arm or your knee, but you are also trusting them to let go when you let them know, hey, you won, and vice versa. They're trusting you. So there is kind of this dance that goes with it. And after the fact, you're like, holy shit, that was, how'd you get that on me? Or vice versa. It's like, how'd you get that on me? And then you start that
yeah,
bond and you start talking. It's, dude, I don't know. Jiu-jitsu is beautiful and I love it. And it just brings so much to everyone that's doing it, I think.
yeah. I agree. It really does. I've never, before jujitsu, before I even knew what it was, I wouldn't. If you told me that I'd be the Arte Suave no gi champion, doing these competitions, going to a gi worlds, I wouldn't know what to say or believe it. And now it's like, now it's motivating. Now I've like incorporated it into my life, where where I need to be disciplined with my habits, how I eat, my time. Yeah, it's really beneficial. I feel like if
Yeah,
if that's what you're looking for, everyone has their own goals.
that is true. I mean, there's some people, like I feel like I sometimes feel like, I'm a pyramid scheme guy where I'm trying to get people to join jujitsu. It's like, no, you'll really love it. You'll really like it. You'll benefit from it. It's like, why are you trying so hard to get us into this group? Are you a cult leader? Like, no, I'm definitely not a leader. I didn't say it wasn't a cult, but the thing is, it's not for everyone. Sometimes you'll get, like my wife, she and I, we've talked about this, and I actually just mentioned this on my previous episode, because they asked, does your wife train? And I was like, no, she doesn't. They're like, well, why not? And a big thing for her is she doesn't feel comfortable like being that close to people and being under people and just going through what we go through as grapplers. I put up a post recently, even talking about that. You know, if you're at a gym and you don't feel comfortable, speak speak up and let people know. I mean, and that's of course the answer that should, we think should be there. For some people, it's just not a thing for them. They don't feel comfortable, and honestly, it might take some time. I mean, I don't know that I ever had that problem coming in. I think my only issue when I got onto the mat was being able to reprogram my brain to understand, like, I have to be patient. I have to pace myself instead of just trying to empty my gas tank, like right out the gate, and then realizing, oh snap, I couldn't submit that dude. Now I am dead. So
Yeah. And to add on to that, there's a lot of like other martial arts people can try. So I've had friends who I've brought to like a trial class, and some of them have said they didn't like it because they're sweating on each other, they're dripping, the sweat's dripping onto their face, or they feel claustrophobic. Um, but there's Muay Thai, there's boxing,
yeah,
Taekwondo, Tai Chi. You know, there's like so many different types of martial arts, and it doesn't have to be jiu-jitsu that someone goes into. Because the goal, I feel like, is that martial arts empowers people,
uh
and you can feel empowered with any of them.
yeah, absolutely. I had a friend. He showed up for a trial. He might have, yeah. I think he did the 1 week trial with us, and he was paired off with myself and my regular training partner, and he watched her take my back, and she's going for a rear naked choke, and he he says, "It's like, damn, y'all just get all up in there, don't you?" And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, you can't choke someone like, when you watch a movie, somebody do that extended arm choke is like, oh, that punk ass choke. That choke ain't gonna hurt nobody. You got to get up close and personal with people, and explain that to that friend. He wasn't necessarily comfortable there, so he went and did Muay Thai, and he's doing very well with that. So everybody has their niche. And like, if you started me in Muay Thai and my shins collided with somebody, I would tell you right there on that, on that moment, yeah, I'm not doing this no more. Like, what can we do with somebody sweating in my face? Give me something that's a little bit more gritty and intimate. Oh, you got jujitsu? Say less. I'm there.
Yeah, shin on shin, I'm good off that. I
It
enjoy
definitely,
striking, but I don't know. I like jujitsu.
yeah. Like, I like the ideal of striking, and until my shin hit somebody else's shin on accident. And the dude who I accidentally collided shins with, he was not phased. He just kept rolling. I dropped to the ground. He was like, "Oh shit, you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm good, I'm good." And it was sore for 3 weeks. I had injured my ribs, so I was like, "I'm gonna do Muay Thai in the meantime, just keep my body kind of going, doing something." I was like, "I'll just go back to jujitsu and risk further injury to the ribs. I'm not colliding shins ever again. This is not okay." And that wasn't even part of the exercise. I think just I timed something wrong and I hit his shin, and I was like, "Dude,
You
this
checked
is
your kick.
terrible." Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, I don't want no part of this. Sorry.
Yeah, Muay Thai
Um,
takes a lot of damage on the body.
mhm.
Uh, it puts a lot of damage. And I'm 27, and so when I get into a new hobby, I'm super competitive. Like I like to get good at it, and eventually, compete whatever that hobby might be. Would it be basketball, card games, chess, any of that, video games. Um, and I'm like, okay, I started jiu-jitsu at 23, but I feel like, I'm competing against a lot of people who are younger than me. Not that I still feel super young. I feel strong, healthy, everything. But, you know, I like to think on the aspect of longevity. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, I can't, I'm going to stick with this. It's going good. I haven't been injured. I haven't had too bad of injuries yet, thankfully. Um, and yeah, it's been going good.
good, good. So you mentioned cards there. Um,
Oh yeah.
and as I am doing my spying, I saw card tricks.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, tell me a little bit about that. Like, how'd you get into doing card tricks? Because I'm like watching through the stories. I was like, dude, what is this? Like, I need to
It's
know
out of
more.
nowhere, right? So I had made a note on my phone like a long time ago. Learn a card trick, and a month passed by. I used to work at GNC, and a month passed by, and I'm just looking at the notes in my phone, and I see the note that I made, and I'm like, "What the fuck? You haven't learned a card trick, and it's been a month?" So um, what happened? I think I brought a deck of cards that day to work, and I look up like an article, not a video or anything, just something, and I'm just following the steps, and then I just start doing it to like my coworker, right? And then a customer walks in, and I, after I help them with a sale, all that, I'm like, oh, do you want to see a card trick? And she was like, yeah. So I show her the trick, and she was like amazed and all that. And it used to be like the way it started was I have to put my hands behind my back twice originally. And then after a few customers that I would do tricks on, I was like, I don't like this. So I switched it. I changed it myself. And then for that specific trick. And then I was able to do it all like in front of them. And then eventually a customer would come in and they knew a card trick. So then we exchanged a card trick. That would actually happen sometimes. Um, or not even that work. That's actually where I got most of my practice in. It depends, it depends on the vibe of the customer. After I complete the sale, they're, we're having a good time. They have some time, show them the card trick. So it was a good sales tactic to upgrade their membership to a $40 membership. Um, but yeah, a lot of the tricks I learned were from other people, YouTube, um, and just started doing it. So I'd go to like whatever I'm in the mood for, honestly. I'll be at a bar. If I have a pack of cards on me, I'll just decide to do it. And then I don't know where there'll be like five, six people watching. And then I have a few good ones that are pretty crazy. And the reaction is amazing. Everyone starts going crazy, starts going nuts over it. I think I've done magic in front of around like 15 to 20 people.
Oh,
Um, and it does get kind of nervous. I get kind of nervous because you can mess up. And if you
oh
do
yeah.
mess up, you have to fix it, which is harder to do. And I have messed up and I have had to fix it. And it's a good icebreaker. Like I think the story you saw, that was in Brazil. Um, yes, just trying to bring everyone together so we can have some fun after.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think card tricks are kind of a good icebreaker and just kind of it's one of those things that, like you said, brings people together. It's like everybody loves a good card trick, whether it be they're amazed by it or they want to figure out how did he do it. But everyone,
Yeah, so since I know how to do it, the illusion goes away. And so I don't have the illusion anymore. So I'm just doing it. I can be like, I need to learn some new ones actually. I've kind of fallen off. I still know them, but I haven't learned like a legit good one in a while. Um, because then I'm just like, oh, I don't want to do these exact same ones anymore. Uh, you need something different.
I mean, mix it up a little bit, add some new flavors to the packet. I got you. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever had the patience to learn a card trick. It's just like I have patience for everything else, but for whatever reason, I don't have the patience to learn. And I love cards. I love playing card games. But if you're like, let's do some tricks, I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying because you need finger dexterity. You need to like, have the placement matters. And I feel like my hands are like super thick that like they're not that flexible. Like my wrist is that flexible. So
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, it gets kind of annoying. And you do like for some of the tricks, I think it takes like a day to learn them.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, so it's not really anything too crazy. You know, you're just like sitting. I'm just sitting at my desk, working the positions, moving the cards around, and it's not going to be right the first time. So like the whole day, I'm just thinking back to like the ones how I learned them. I was just moving them around, um, and then the next day when I picked it up, it just like, oh, okay, now you start picking it up. Like the first day you're not going to get it. It's just not going to work. But then when you pick it up again the next day, your brain kind of already like to wire it remembered what you were doing.
Okay. Uh,
So the more you do them, you'll notice like sometimes things just happen. For example, um, oh, it's kind of hard to explain without actually showing you. But sometimes, but again, mistakes happen sometimes, and then you only know that those mistakes are happening by doing them constantly. So then the next time you're doing them in front of like like a group of people or someone you're trying to impress, and you're like, oh, that mistake just happened, but I know how to fix it, and then you go back and do it. It's awesome.
so it sounds like it's got similarities to jujitsu, where just you gotta practice the move, drill the move, and then you're able to pick up on the mistakes where someone else probably won't know the mistake if they're not privy to your knowledge of what you're trying to do. So it all comes together.
I feel like jujitsu is like the same like blueprint for everything else, right?
Hmm.
Which is practice, hard work, all that stuff. Like like learning making a mistake, the other person doesn't know the mistake. In different types of sports, like in chess, in card magic, in basketball, in everything, it's all kind of the same.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of a formulaic blueprint to it all. You know, like you said, whether it be basketball, football. I think also for it just depends on what you're into. I know for me with jujitsu, I'd be happy to go to an open mat and drill one move for 40 minutes over and over until I feel comfortable. Versus if you put me on the basketball court, I have zero left hand. I can dribble with my left hand to save my life. If you told me my loved ones were going to die if I can't dribble up the court in a straight line with my left hand, like, look, the next question that I ask is like, y'all want to be cremated or will y'all want to be buried? Because I'm gonna tell you now, I can't make that happen. But jujitsu, on the other hand, I will go and work that move forever just to get better at it. But like again, basketball, and I love basketball, but there's no interest. There's not enough interest in me, learn how to do it with my left hand. Or I mean, hell, I'm trash at layups. Everyone can make a layup. I cannot make a
I
layup.
sm- I smoked a bunch of layups, so
Man, they would. There'd be times they would just leave the lane open because they knew I wouldn't drive in, and if I did drive in, I was going to miss the layup. So I just got good at hitting threes,
oh
like
then
my mid range and my threes. I
I
got you.
mean at least that's good. At least they don't say let him shoot when you get the ball.
Yeah. Oh my god. I, I don't know like how much NBA you follow, but I don't watch a lot of NBA. But every so often I check in, and Russell Westbrook. I think at one point they're like, "Look, this dude misses everything. Just leave him open." And it started getting in his head. They were leaving him open because they knew, oh, he's just gonna take a shot and he's gonna brick it so bad. And sure enough, that became the thing. They're just leaving him open, and it started messing with him. It was like, dude, I'd probably,
Oh,
well,
that's
he's
horrible. That
making
sucks.
millions. He's making tons of money doing it,
Yeah.
but for me in the street ball, it's like I probably would stop just showing up. It's like, look, there's other things I could do.
Yep.
Uh,
Have you ever heard of? I'm gonna change this topic here real quick. Have you ever
okay,
heard of like sacred geometry?
I have not.
Like, I- you know how like everything in like physics is kind of like geometrical.
Hmm.
You haven't heard of that?
Yeah.
It's kind it's interesting because so Nikola Tesla said that if you want to find like the secrets of the universe, you have to like think in terms of frequency, vibrations, and sound or something. And then like sound waves creates like geometric symbols, and you find it in nature and all that. And then in jujitsu, we're literally putting our bodies in geometrical shapes.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I just thought that was a cool connection.
Like when you really think about it, yeah. I mean, we're contorting ourselves in ways that most people wouldn't imagine we're capable of doing anyway. I mean,
Like
whether it
inverting?
be,
Like what is that?
yeah, oh my God, yeah, matrix, and like going, matrix and all types of like inverts and just different types of guards. It's like squid guard. It's like, okay, like why is this guy on one shoulder rolling around on the floor? Like, I
What's
didn't know
your
that was
favorite guard?
a. Right now we've been working, um, with X guard, single leg X, stuff like that. So just kind of messing around with a lot of the entanglements, you know, in X guard, stuff like that. But as far as like just where I feel most comfortable is probably lasso, spider, stuff like that. So
Lasso?
obviously, gi
Okay.
stuff. I just feel like with lasso, there's a control point as long as you've got the lasso like correctly. There's control point there that you can take your time and do whatever you want. But if it's loose, then obviously you're going to have a little bit of trouble, getting the move off. But lasso's probably the thing I go to most. But lately we've been working a lot of stuff from X guard, and I wouldn't say it's my least favorite. It's definitely not my favorite, but it's something that I'm starting to feel a little bit more confident in working around. But if it's up to me, I'm gonna get us back to close guard and then transition to lasso and start working lasso spider type hybrid there.
Nice. Yeah, if someone has a really good lasso, it gets annoying trying to break out of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. As much as I love using lasso, I can't stand when someone goes for it on me. And I tend to, because I'm aware of it, because I like it so much, I keep the one arm kind of tight to my body. So as you try to go for it, you might get, the leg looped around, but I'm not going to let you get it already, all the way sunk in. But I think, was it this past Wednesday, I got caught. And the thing is, I think I was just being lazy. My teammate got me, and I just had to accept the fact, look, I'm not getting out of this. Let me try to figure something else out from this point. So, and I did it not in time. He ended up dumping me on my head.
Sweeping you?
So,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it just make me feel silly. And right in front of coach too. So that's what was the thing that really got me. It's like, come on, dude, you could have done that anywhere else. You could have like swept me in a different direction, but you swept me right at coach's feet. Come on, dude. Why? Like, like we're friends. What's a go-to guard for you?
I like close guard. I do close guard. In training, I'll experiment with everything. I'll try to do everything. Like obviously it depends where the role is going. Uh, but in competition, I it looks like subconsciously I just go into close guard. I feel safe there, but I
Yeah,
also attack. You know, uh, I'm breaking my opponent's posture down. I'm trying to hip bump them, going for collar chokes, making them hard for them to stand up. Um, but recently, since most of my submissions and competitions are all arm bars, when I have someone in close guard, I've come across a problem where they just don't want to stand up and they're kind of like just keeping tight and it becomes hard because I'm like moving their head, I'm trying to go side to side, I'm trying to off balance them, and they're just kind of like staying there. Uh, so that's kind of like I don't know. I don't like to stay. I like to be active when I'm rolling. I don't know. I guess I like to make it entertaining for whoever is watching. But I'll still do like the good moves, play strategically and all that.
yeah,
But when I'm rolling, I feel like I'm in an anime. So I'm trying to like or in a competition, I should say, not when I'm not every single roll. But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe I can try opening up my guard real quick into spider and then close it or something. But it's because since I'm posting everything on Instagram, where before competition, people look up who they're
yeah,
competing against, and then they see all that, and then some people say sometimes, oh, like what if they know all your moves now? but I don't think it matters.
Well, no, it it shouldn't. I mean, if you're working and you're perfecting your craft, they can they can know your moves all they want, but if you're good at what you're doing, it won't matter that they know your moves. And not only that, it's like, okay, so they know your moves. Do they know the follow up or the backup? Or, if you transition to something else, just to come back to what you wanted originally. I mean, there are games to it.
Yeah, like in competition, sometimes I'll just hear coaches yell, "He's gonna go for the armbar. He's gonna shoot the triangle," and in my mind, I'm like, "That's not what I'm gonna do."
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, you know, in competition, they can, see what you may be going for, think what you may be going for, but in all reality, it's like, look, we all know there's so many different avenues to go in jiu-jitsu. Just because it looks like he's going for this doesn't mean he's going for this. As a matter of fact, because they say he's going for this, you know, now you might have something else in your back pocket that you can transition to. Or it could also be a ploy on the coach's part to say he's going for this, just to make you think, oh, he knows I'm going to go somewhere else. But, that's the beauty of the game. It's a big old Rubik's Cube.
Yeah. Have
Um,
you ever done a competition?
Yeah, I competed at white belt way back when I started. Well, when I started, I wasn't even training that often. So once I was able to start training more regularly, like more than once a week, I decided, oh, we got a competition coming up. It's right around the corner from my house. Let's go to it. And it was, I felt like it was a disaster.
Oh, really?
Um,
Why?
you know, like I went in, what was I competing at? 184, I think it was. And I think I was over. I think my scale was off, is what it was. And like I got on the scale and it said 186. And I was like, oh shit, I'm fucked. So, I added some time though. So I came downstairs, hopped on the treadmill, ran for a little bit, uh, weighed myself again, and I was at 185. And I was like, oh,
Sorry, I have to lose 5 pounds by next Saturday.
I, I mean, you know, it seems doable, but I guess it all depends,
I'm
with
hungry right now.
yourself. Oh my god, dude, that's the worst. Well, because like for me, I didn't know shit, so I was eating pretty light, but not like I wasn't starving myself. But it was like the shit that I was eating. It was just like, this is not Dante friendly. This is not some shit that I normally eat. It's like I'm like, you know, fucking salad. And it's not that I don't eat salads, but it was like it seemed like that's all there was. Salad, big chicken, shit like that. I was like, God, this sucks. I hate all of this. I probably would have actually, and I did actually end up making weight. Their scales were calibrated, I guess, probably correctly. So I got there. I had on, sweatshirt, sweatpants, shoes, and the guy goes, "Yo, kick your shoes off for you on the scale unless you want to move up a weight class." I kicked my shoes off. I was like, shit. He's like, all right, you good. 183. I was like, what? All right, cool. And like, I think we went on at 3 o'clock when my name got called up. And I was going to the bathroom. I was like, okay, I got to go pee real quick. I get all the way around. I'm walking into the bathroom door and I hear my name called on the loudspeaker. I was like, well, fuck.
Oh, it's a
So
disaster.
yeah, so I was like, all right, well, let me run all the way back around to mat 5. I get out there, I'm nervous as all fuck. Tap hands, uh, and the other guy, I can tell he's nervous too. So it's really a matter of who's less nervous. We're fighting for position. He ends up getting the takedown. He gets his 2. And then, it's just kind of a mad scramble on the ground at this point. He's up 2-0. He's not really getting any position in. Uh, he got my back, but never got his hooks in. I think he went immediately for bow and arrow. And I fancy myself as being someone that defends those pretty well. So I'm cool. Like, I'm actually really relaxed. I'm just hanging out. I hear my coach scream, Dante, don't you fucking tap. So I give him a thumbs up, like, not good, we straight. What you talking about? And just the dude let go. And then just
Of the
like
bow and arrow?
he let go of the bow and arrow. I think he was exhausted. I turned around and rolled into side control. And then the timer went off. And so I didn't think I won yet. I'm standing there like an asshole, like, oh, God, this sucks. I got to get better. I don't know what I'm doing. I feel my arm get raised. I was like, what? And my coach runs onto me. I was like, dude, could you not wait till the last second to win your match next time? I was like, what are you talking about? And then he shows me the video. I was like, oh, okay. So I don't really take credit for that because it's like I didn't win. The dude just gave up. He and then I guess my one coach was saying is like, the thing is though, you stayed in the fight. You never let him get any other points. You didn't let him tap you. So you did something. It's like, I get that, but I felt like for myself, I didn't do enough. Like I should have been able to do so much better. But that was the first match. The next match was the finals because it was a 5-man bracket. And I went up against a dude in the finals, and he beat me 5-0. And basically what it was is he got his takedown, he got side control, I got the half guard. And at this point, I didn't know what half guard was. So I'm just sitting there like a doofus in half guard, and later on the guy was really nice. He goes, dude, like there was one point where you had me off balance. Like if you would have just like sat up, you would have had a sweep. I go, that's really cool of you, but you should have told me that while we're on the mat. Like it would have been so much more helpful. And then after that, a week later, we had the DC Open was here in Maryland. Or it was 2 weeks later. And I was like, okay, I'll sign up for that. But because I wear a colostomy bag, I wear a rash guard under my gi. And for IBJJF, you can't compete with the rash guard under your gi. And I sent the email, asked for an exemption. It said no, like get a neoprene brace. So I just kind of scratched that off my list. And then from that point,
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I kind of missed it. Why did you want to wear a rash guard?
Because I wear a colostomy bag. So, like I'm not comfortable rolling with no rash guard on under my gi, just because of the bag being exposed and everything. And I think from that point, I really thought I was like, I don't know that I really like competing. Like it's a fun experience to be there and cheer the team on. And, I've coached the kids classes and stuff, and I've been out there to coach the kids. I don't know that I like it though, myself personally, just being on the mat and competing. I like, in gym, having hard rounds. I love that. But I think there's just something about like being on the mat competing. If there's something different to it for me where I'm like, I don't like this. It almost feels like it's finite. It's like if I lose this is the end of the world type thing for me. Versus if I get tapped in practice, it's like, okay, we still got another 4 minutes of this round. Let's go. When you get tapped in competition, it's like, damn, that was fast. Like I drove way out here to get on this mat for 13 seconds. Fuck, I feel like Josie Aldo.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, I can see how that feels like that. Especially like since you gotta travel to these tournaments. I think the second time I did Gi Worlds, my first opponent, it was a no-show. So I went on to the second round, and it was the guy's like ranked 7. And I just wasn't in the right headspace. I feel like maybe I was like, doubting my jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. So then once the match starts, you can see it clearly, like as I'm walking onto the mat, as I'm kind of like, it wasn't me. And you saw some of the highlights. I do like this jumping R bar. Yeah. And the guy, I had been working on that move. I've been getting on everyone in the gym at open mats and stuff. So the guy, he comes at me, he lunges and sticks his arm out. And I hesitate for like a second. And then in my mind, I'm like, why did you hesitate? So then I jump for it, and then I kind of do have his arm, but he put me in single leg X. If I would have done it when the timing was there, the match would have been over already. I would have armbarred him. Uh, so then I break out of the single leg X, and I just fall straight into side control. I pass him, and one of my friends, he's really good on all these statistics and facts, and he was all like, "Oh, that guy got third place at Pans, and nobody passed his guard at that tournament." So like I passed his guard, right? Um, but so I pass his guard, and then I'm kind of stuck there, and it's going good, and then something just happens, and he creates some space. He hips away. He ties me up, breaks my posture down, and then boom, I get armbarred. And this all happens in like less than a minute. Maybe like a minute, yeah. So I felt really bad after that. You drove down to SoCal for it, for the tournament fee,
Yeah.
just all the expenses, and then just to like not perform how you like I didn't perform how I knew I could have performed. I wasn't my best. Um, so yeah, that kind of it got to me, but it made me think because I was at middleweight, and I'm like, okay, the next time I compete, I can't feel like this anymore. I need to work on my habits. I need to work on my mindset. I need to do all these things. And now I'm at lightweight, so I cut like 15, 20 pounds. And since I've been doing lightweight, I've always like I've been doing really well.
Good.
So it's been working with that shift.
I always think to myself when it comes to the ideal of competing, I think for me, part of it too is I don't know that I can put myself in the right headspace. It's like I don't take it serious enough. You know, because I'm a silly guy. So like even when I'm rolling with teammates, I'm just being goofy and silly. It's like okay, now imagine me on the mat. Like when I was rolling, in the first match of the competition, there's like this sense of urgency. It's like shit. I'm not in a good spot. You know, whereas the second match, like I'm in bottom half guard, and I'm talking. I'm not saying anything loud enough for the ref to hear to disqualifying me, but I'm like like trying to talk shit to the guy, like trying to like distract him. And it's like, ah man, guess the jokes aren't working today. Like this is weird. So it's like I feel like for myself, it's like some people are just better off just you know instructing from the sidelines. You're like, hey,
Yeah.
don't let them armbar you. Oh fuck. Like I guess I'm not good at this either. Maybe I
I
should just
feel
do
like
a podcast.
I feel like I'm a horrible coach. My brother, he competed a while ago, and I feel like he ended up losing. It was like a close match until he got swept. But I feel like I could have been a better coach. I was like filming, I was like recording. I feel like I was more focused on recording for him than being present and coaching him. So I feel like it's like
Yeah.
my loss too.
That's a tricky one because it's like, yeah, if you're recording and trying to coach at the same time, it's like which one are you focusing on? Because I've tried doing that once too, and it's like, oh, I can't. Because I think I was like trying to like guide them, like, okay, hey, cool, like breathe. All right, so you're fine, you're fine. Meanwhile, the camera is now off onto another mat. Like,
Yeah,
it's like, oh shit, like they did a cartwheel pass, and I didn't catch that because I was trying to coach them.
yeah.
But yeah, ultimately, you know, jujitsu in itself, all of it, whether it be for a hobby, for competing, for self defense, for mental health, we all have our different reasons for being on the mats and taking in this hobby. Because otherwise, it's like, I like to say that jujitsu is not for everyone, but I do think everyone should give it a try. That way you can know. It's like
Hmm.
my wife, she says, look, I don't feel comfortable, doing jiu-jitsu, being that close with people, da da da. And I explained to her, like, look, chances are I would work with you in the beginning anyway, just for your comfort. And then there's other females at the gym as well that will work with you and help you also. But I think at the end of the day, it's just not something that she, would enjoy, and that's fine. Because I do think grapplers, whether it be jiu-jitsu, wrestling, sambo, judo, I think a lot of us, we're not tightly wound. We are a different breed of human where it's like we go and fight each other. We try to manipulate each other's joints, and then we go out and get Korean barbecue afterward. Like shit is cool. And it
Yeah,
is.
I think that's to me that's super normal.
Exactly. That shit's
Yeah,
normal to me. It's like, let's beat the shit out of each other and then let's go get pho afterwards. And it's like, okay, cool. And then we sit down and a lot of times we don't even talk about jujitsu when we're eating. And it's
yeah,
like,
not yeah, no, because like it's weird like with your friends who like who don't train, you'll like talk jujitsu about them, but then with your friends who do train, you already got all your, you already trained jujitsu. So now after you're just like not even talking about jujitsu anymore, just talking about whatever.
yeah, yeah. It's like a lot of us are into comic books. A lot of us are into, comic book movies. So that's where our conversations steer to. We're like, all right, so what do you think about, Flash, the new Flash movie coming up, or what do you think about, Guardians 3? And it's just like, oh shit, okay, yeah, I forgot. You were just, you did just
I
put me to sleep 20 minutes ago.
I thought Ezra Miller got canceled already.
No, he's still canceled. But
Oh, okay.
so last night, so I'm part of another podcast called Nerd Rage Radio, and we just recorded episode 400 last night, and that came up, Ezra Miller. So what came up was kind of the whole thing with Jonathan Majors right now and whatever's going on with him and Ezra Miller, and the question of stars getting canceled, and you know, the talk was like, okay, well, Flash is coming out now. Suddenly, Ezra Miller's not canceled anymore. It's like, well, he is, but you have to also keep in mind too that there's so many other people that are part of this project. So after this Flash movie's done, I think they're moving in a whole different direction with DC anyway. So
They need
like,
to put me behind the team. They keep messing it up.
well, honestly, like going back to like the early 2000s when we got the Spider-Man films and the X-Men films and things like that.
Those
All I
were
kept
good.
hearing. So I love. Well, I wouldn't say I love the first Spider-Man, but I really enjoyed it. I love the second Spider-Man. I That's still one of my favorite Spider-Man films. Um, when we get to the X-Men stuff, you start hearing like, oh, Bryan Singer's a fan. He's a big fan. We're getting fans to make these films. And the thing is about these directors that we're calling fans at the time, at least, it's like, were they a fan of the projects before they were attached, or did they become a fan because they were attached to the project? Because when you look at something like what Bryan Singer did with the first X-Men movie, it was exciting because this is the first time we're going to get a live action X-Men movie in the theaters. We had back in 97, they did a made for TV movie called Generation X, which was kind of based off of a newer team that they just came out with in the 90s, off the X-Men brand. But that was a made for TV thing. I think it could still be found on YouTube. I'm going to actually try to watch it because I had to go to church that night. It was like Ash Wednesday or something. I don't know. We went to church and
Hmm.
I knew I was going to miss it and I was upset. And, back then, this was before the internet, was the internet. So I couldn't just go and find it again or catch a rerun or stream it. Like, you
Yeah.
missed it, you missed it. But you had a lot of like people that they would claim were fans of these projects, and then when you see the project, it's like, this, you're not, no, this is dog shit. I don't know if it was a matter of the studio being too heavy handed or the director or actors or whoever just saying, well, I'm a fan, I'm going to change things though, because if I would have done it. Whereas now you have people like James Gunn, who's going to be running DC, the DC branch of Warner Brothers, and it sounds like James Gunn, his record speaks for itself with the Guardians movies and the latest Suicide Squad movie and Peacemaker, so he at least has an investment in this to give the fans something that they really want versus having Bryan Singer come in and saying, well, I can really relate to the X-Men story being a gay man. And it's like, maybe, but we want the X-Men story to just be an X-Men story that we can all enjoy. And that's not to say that, him being a gay man, doesn't make that story enjoyable, but it's a matter of what are you doing with X-Men? Like, are you going to give us the X-Men where, we get the actual first class, or are you giving us X-Men team where Iceman is a student, meanwhile Scott, Jean, and Storm are all teachers? It's like, wait a minute, Bobby should be amongst that group as well. He's one of the original five. We don't even get our Angel in there anywhere. We don't get Beast into the third movie. So it's like, they just took popular pieces of the X-Men and threw it into a movie. They were like, well, people know Rogue, we'll throw Rogue in there. People know Wolverine, we'll throw Wolverine in there. And they know Storm, we'll throw Storm.
They're not sticking to the source material that's already there, laid out for them.
Yeah.
That's what the fans want to see. They want to see what the comic books had.
Yeah. Well, when the MCU came about, starting with Iron Man, it was just that. They're like, look, let's give it to them in some sort of order, modernized. And, it's not perfect by any means, but it was a good run. And, these days when you look at what DC's doing, they're trying so hard to play catch up to Marvel in the movie department that they completely ignored what they could have easily done. And now here we are all as fans. It's like, look, let us just take over. Like, please let us, like, we can fix this for you, because like the executives obviously think, well, we know what moves movies. We know what puts asses in seats. And it's like, you don't though. Or like, no, actually they do. People will go see these movies. But then the second week drop off is so bad that, you start to wonder, do you guys know what you're doing? Like, you're not making a movie where people want to come back to see it a second and third and a fourth time. Whereas like, they dropped Suicide Squad, the first one. And it was like, I was excited. I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, we're going to finally get a Suicide Squad movie. Let's do it, son. Let's go. And then I watched, I was like, man, those first 45 minutes were great. I don't know what y'all do with the rest of the fucking movie, but
I fell asleep, I think, halfway in the movie. I had a long night that night, but usually that doesn't happen. Usually I don't fall asleep in the movie theater.
Honestly, that first Suicide Squad movie, around that halfway mark where you fell asleep, you're good. You didn't miss nothing. like your body knew. Your body said, dude, Carlos, just go now. Like, sleep is like, we need to get you out of here. But I don't know. It's as a 45-year-old man at this point, I'm also kind of in that mindset of like, should I really care? I care, but should I be this attached? And I feel like the answer is no. I shouldn't be this attached. Honestly, the movies, like my wife and I, before I started recording, I was watching Guardians Volume 2. And my wife, she pointed out an issue that she has with the Guardians movies is, unlike the other Marvel films, they do a good amount of cussing in the Guardians movies. It's not anything horribly egregious, like they're not dropping F-bombs, but I think in the trailer, because we went to see the Super Mario Brothers movie, and my wife said in the trailer, I think Star-Lord is talking to Gamora and he calls her a dick. And it's like, damn, dude, that's in the trailer. Like, at the Super Mario Brothers movie, of all places, where everyone's bringing their kid to see it. Poor choice.
On that, I haven't watched the Super Mario movie yet, but I was thinking, me and my friend were talking about it, and we're all like, what if they make like a Nintendo verse movie, like movies,
Mhm.
and then at the end, like wherever these movies lead up to, it's like a Super Smash Bros. Movie where the hand
Ooh.
recruits all of them and makes them all like engage in like combat or something. That'd be sick.
Oh, I like how you're thinking, Carlos. I like this. Like I'm in for that. Because
That'd be awesome to see, right?
yeah, I mean, I'm on board. I hope that's where they're going with it. The Super Mario Brothers movie, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I honestly would go see it again in theater, and I don't see movies on repeat in theater. But I like if my cousins were like, "Hey, you want to go see that movie?" I'd be like, "Yeah, son, let's go again." Like when y'all trying to go? Shit, I might
Oh
go
shit.
next week.
Sorry.
But yeah, if they ended up doing something like that, I think that would be huge, fan service and all. So
That'd be
let's hope
crazy.
that
I
they
got
do.
the Switch right here.
Nice. So I was trying to convince my wife to let me buy a Switch for my daughter for her birthday. And she was like, "No, I don't think she's ready for it yet." And I'm like, "Look, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not buying it for her. Like, I'm
Oh
buying it
yeah.
for me. But I just want to make it seem like it's a gift for her because you know, I guess it kind of paints a bad look in the house if I go out and buy a video game system for myself. But
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be because it's no different if I went and got a PS5. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
if I get a PS5, it's for me. It's not for her. But if I get a Switch, and it's kind of that thing where like, oh, is that for the family? Yeah, sure.
I've been pretty good about it. So I've been playing. I got this like a week ago. So because I'm a huge Zelda fan, and the new
Nice.
Zelda game comes out in May, so I'm playing Breath of the Wild right now for the first time. I've been pretty good, playing like 30 minutes a day or maybe like every other day, and
Okay.
I'll just turn it on, hop on, run through a few, like stuff, and then play later. So it's been you should get it.
Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do. My daughter's birthday is in May. We're probably going. I don't know what the plan is for her. I think my daughter wants a bike. My wife's like, "Well, you know, you're 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 not even comfortable riding a scooter." And I'm like, "Look, get her the bike. Let her fall. Kids got to fall."
How old is she?
That's she will be 7. I want to get my daughter a bike so she can fall, but if she wants a bike, I want to get her a Nintendo Switch. I don't know what the plan is, but ultimately, if we end up getting a Nintendo Switch, I know it'll be something that we'll all end up enjoying and playing. And with video games, for me, I give myself a 30 minute to an hour window because if I play for more than an hour, I start to I get like this weird obsession with it and I won't let go. But if I play for less than 30 minutes, I also get this weird obsession where there's a whole bunch of what ifs. Like I have to like play for that 30 minutes at least to kind of get the like kind of the stuff out of my system. It's like, okay, I know what would happen. This would happen, that would happen.
What
Um,
games are you playing?
I mostly play sports like Madden, mostly Madden right now, just with football season ending and then the draft. 2K, because we're NBA playoffs right now, so I'm kind of in that sports mode. If I'm not playing those, then I go back to PS4 and play the Batman Arkham games. I'm trying to think, and then we still play the Nintendo Wii, so we play Mario Party, my daughter and I. Every so often, I
Awesome.
go back play Mario
That's fun.
3 and Zelda from Super Nintendo, Link to the Past. So
Nice. I like playing. I have a PS4. I play Destiny on there a lot.
okay, yeah, yeah,
I have the VR headset too for the
nice.
PS4. So I played this cool game called dang, what is it called? I haven't played it in a while. Oh no, it's called, what can I think right now? Firefall.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's called. So it's like I have a gun for it too. It's as you can see it. It's right there. Do you see it
Okay.
underneath my bed?
Yeah.
The white thing. That's the gun. Um,
Nice.
yeah, so you put the headset on, and then you're in a new dimension, the VR, the metaverse, right? And
Mm.
it's awesome because with the gun, you're like running through houses. If they throw like a grenade, you see it like roll up to you, and if it's like a flashbang or something, like
Mm.
it's sick. That game's pretty addicting. When I was playing, the VR headset, the VR community is smaller than like the
Okay.
other online gaming ones. So then there was two guys who were in the same like team as I, and they said that they both called out like this is their second day calling into work, calling out of work so that they could play all day.
I know the feels. Um, when I was in eighth grade, yeah, when I was in eighth grade, my grandfather got me a Super Nintendo for my birthday, and my grandparents, they would leave for work before I would go to school because I was a kid of the '90s. So it was kind of like, here, you're good. You can get to school yourself, and you can come home and be all right by yourself afterward as well. Sure, maybe. So my grandparents, they went to work. So I think I skipped 3 straight days of school, just sitting at home playing Super Mario World. Like, and it wasn't even like I would stay up all night playing. Then I would like get a little bit of sleep, wake up, get dressed for school, let them leave for work, then just basically chill out and play video games. So I think eventually the school called my grandparents, was like, yeah, so yeah, your kid hasn't been here in days. Is everything
No.
okay?
Whoa.
So I mean, it was a weird time, but I understand the whole, like, once you get that new game and it gets addictive, you want to just get it out your system. So no, I get it. I understand completely. For you with gaming, with the VR gaming specifically, I think there's like this boxing game on Oculus. I think. Have you played that at all or seen it?
I've seen it. I haven't played it. So I have the PS4 heads VR. So that one, it's only like limited to like PS4 games.
Boo.
Um, yeah. So I've only played that Firefall game, Skyrim, um, and I played Star Wars Squadrons.
Oh,
That
nice.
one's sick. Yeah, you're in space and you're like you're basically like playing, you're jet fighting in
All right.
space. Yes, like it's so cool because you can change the cockpit however you want, and say like I'm flying through space, right? You can look back to see like how, like if they're on your tail, and then
Oh, nice.
like adjust or whatever. I think
I
the
like
new
that.
PS4 headset came out, but I probably won't get it, or the PS5 VR headset. Yeah, I haven't been gaming too much because since I've just been doing jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu has really um so, for the past, so I've been training jiu-jitsu 4 years. From those 4 years, I've probably out of like all like 365 days from the years, I've probably trained 90%. I haven't taken any breaks. Haven't, I used to go to concerts and stuff. I would spend money, go to EDC, go to see a show, go all these, and those were fun. But right now, I'm in like my jujitsu era phase. So my time is just um, mostly work, jujitsu, and then I'll squeeze in all my other things that I like to squeeze in.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, man. It's you know when I started jujitsu, a similar thing happened to me where I cut out everything else. I cut out basketball. I actually it cut out drinking and partying altogether.
That's what I've cut out. And I feel like I'm in great shape. Um, and I'll still like drink, enjoy beer or something like that.
Yeah,
But now I'm like super conscious, like I'm with health, and I want to perform. I want to be able to go onto the mats, and I guess that just goes back to like me being super competitive,
yeah.
and wanting to compete.
I think when I started because at the time I could only train on Saturdays, and I didn't want to, I didn't want to drink on a Friday night and then come in Saturday morning and train. I didn't want to come in, number one, smell like booze, but number two, I didn't want to be sluggish and be a bad teammate. And then for me, it's like, well, also keeping kind of that momentum going, I didn't want to drink on Saturday night either. So in general, I just I slowed down with drinking. Like now that I'm older, there's a little bit of a balance because I think what I started back in 2015, maybe 16. My daughter was born in 16, so 2015 is when I started, and then that started like training more seriously uh, late 2016 because my job had changed at that time. But and even so, I kind of kept with that same momentum. I just minimized, partying and drinking. I mean, also at this point, I'm an old man. How much party can you really do? Going into your 40s. I mean, you
Yeah.
can still party, but the question is, how late can you stay awake? Because let me tell you, dude, like when we did Nerd Rage Radio episode 400, we got home at about 1 a.m. And I was like, look, man, I'm hungry. There's nothing in the house. Let me go. Like, I'm just going to go to McDonald's. I don't want to, but I have to. So go to
Yeah.
McDonald's. I didn't even finish my food.
You
Like,
passed
I,
out?
yeah, like I was so tired I couldn't eat. And I could feel it. I took 2 bites of my Big Mac and just threw it away. I was like, man, I am too tired to eat.
I think
And
I've been there. I had a flashback. Me and my friend, we just like after like partying, like I don't even know how late. We go to Jack in the Box. We get the munchie meal,
mm,
and I think I don't remember if it was me or him. One of us just didn't finish it. I think it was him. He just as soon as he unwrapped his munchie meal, he just fell asleep in the car with his munchie meal right there.
yeah, that's kind of where I was. And I wasn't really drunk last night. I was just tired. I'm old.
Yeah, it was.
Like, I was sitting there. My wife was like, "I'm going to sleep." I was like, "All right, cool." I'm sitting there. What did I put on? I what? Oh, I put on Cocaine Bear. I was like, "All right, I'm gonna watch Cocaine Bear. I'm going to eat this burger." Took 2 bites. I was like, "Damn, dude, I'm tired as fuck." Threw the burger away and just went to sleep. I was like, "Man, I want to watch Cocaine Bear, but I can't. I'm too tired." Like being old is a detriment, but it's like I am a night owl. I'm usually up late, but it's like when you combine all the other stuff, that's where it becomes kind of that problem because I wasn't drunk, but I did like drink in celebration, for the episode, and then got home and I was just like, I'm just tired. I can't. My body is broken. Like right now, I feel good. Like doing the pod. I'm gonna record again later tonight. I got editing to do, so I got all my energy. But it's like I can't combine alcohol with any of that. Like if I drink during the day at any point, I know that I'm probably gonna be in bed by 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I'm okay with that. Like, whereas if I don't drink, I'm probably up
Yeah.
until 1 a.m. anyway. So yeah, that's pretty much how I handle my drinking and
Oh
partying.
dang.
I just don't.
Talk about food got me hungry. And again, I have to cut 5 pounds.
Mm, yeah,
I think
like
that's doable, right?
that sucks.
5 pounds by Saturday.
No, so I say it's doable, but I'm also a lunatic. So like
It's
like I
doable
would
then.
like so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up now. Actually, anyway, I gotta go and set up for the edit and then another recording later tonight. So Carlos, thank you for doing this, my friend.
Cool.
I appreciate your time. I appreciate it. Are there any shout outs or mentions you want to do before we get out of here?
Um, Shout out One World Jiu Jitsu. That's where I train out of. Um, Shout out Arte Suave for having me on the event. Um, BJ.Wiki, thanks for inviting me onto the podcast. And that's it, I guess.
All right. Well,
Oh, and of course, shout out myself. Follow me on Instagram, Carlos Cruz BJJ.
Yes, sir. I'll definitely put you in the show notes, obviously, because you are the guest. I'll make sure you're tagged there. Um, and again, I appreciate you sharing your time. As far as everybody else, all the listeners, thank you so much. I appreciate the hell out of everyone. And I know I've been saying that a lot lately. It's just doing all these podcasts, all these different projects, and the momentum that's going with them. None of this happens without you all as guests, you all as listeners. I appreciate the fuck out of everyone. So I love you all. If y'all have any questions, concerns, criticisms, always feel free to reach out. You can find me at BJJ.Wiki on Instagram, Off the Mats Podcast on Instagram. Um, I'm all over social media, so you can find me. I'm a very open guy. You ask, to be on, we'll talk, we'll figure it out. I want to give a big shout out to our friends over at Arte Suave, Fredo, Kelsey. You all running the program over there. I'm gonna have Fredo on pretty soon, so do some catching up and see what's going on with the program. So, go give them a follow if you're not doing so already. I'll tag them in the links as well. Also want to give a big shout out to our friends over at Nerve Age Radio, Bobby, Chris, Joe, Ricky Tiki, Marilyn, Phil, Raul, Casey, all you guys. Thank you for everything that you guys do and just get me into this podcast game. So I appreciate the fuck out of all of you. I love you guys. Also, last big shout out to my other podcast. So you like horror? If y'all like scary movies and stuff like that, go check out the podcast. Right now, we're going through the decades of horror. Talk about the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I think we just dropped the 60s and we're working on the 70s right now. So just stay tuned. We got a lot of fun stuff going on over there. And also, shout out to Carlos Cruz, our guest here. We'll go ahead and make sure I get you tagged here in the notes. And otherwise, thank you, everyone. You guys keep listening, and I'm going to keep making these shows. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.
Deeper with it. Now let me sing a song.